Hey guys, it's Sunray, and welcome back to the My So-Called Thoughts podcast. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? It is the final week of the year, the final week of 2022. I am your host, Sunray. I'm a wife, mama, and musician. And if this is your first time listening to the podcast, it's exactly what it sounds like. Sounds like it's My So-Called Thoughts. We talk about everything here. We talk about life. We talk about what we're experiencing in life, what we're dealing with. I talk about things that we face in society and things that we go through, things that I don't like about society and things that I may appreciate, things like that. And, just things that we're healing from, things that we all experience, stuff that we're all thinking about, but most of us don't want to talk about. We don't want to open up about it. We don't want to open up that can of worms. That is what we talk about here on My So-Called Thoughts. So thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot believe it. This is the last episode of season 1. And if it's your first time listening, go listen to the other 18 episodes. But this is the last episode of season 1. I cannot believe it. I am just so happy and so thankful that I started this podcast and that people have actually listened. I'm just so thankful. I just can't believe it. When I go and look at my analytics and look and just see, it's not about the numbers, but just I can even I make my podcast through Anchor, and I can go in and I can see what country people are listening in, and just when I see things like that, I'm just so ecstatic and just so thankful. If you somehow stumbled upon this podcast, if somebody shared it with you, or you just were looking for a podcast and you just so happened to click on mine, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I have been wanting to start a podcast for a few years now. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I could do it. I even had the equipment because, like I said, I'm a musician and I sing. So I had a microphone. I already had a computer. I had everything, but I just didn't believe I can do it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I have the ideas. I have everything I need. Let's just freaking go, So I'm just so thankful. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Thank you for following along. Thank you for sharing it if you had. Thank you for the likes that you may have left, or the comment or the review, or anything that you may have done. Thank you so much. So I just have to say that. And of course, if this is your first time tuning in and you want to listen to the podcast and you are interested in other ways to listen to it, the podcast is available on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, and of course, just Apple Podcasts. Of course, please leave a like, a comment, a review on your platform of choice. And also follow the Instagram page, which is at My So-Called Thoughts Pod. Again, it's at My So-Called Thoughts Pod. I post updates on there and everything like that. As I mentioned, this is the last episode of season 1. My plan is to be back with season 2 in the spring. I don't have a date yet, but I'm really excited for season 2, and I'm really happy to come back and better than ever, and with some really exciting topics to talk about. So please stay tuned and look forward to that. Like I said, follow the Instagram page because I will be posting leading up to that date. I'm also just going to try to update the description, depending on where you are listening to the podcast. So that way, if you don't have Instagram, or you frequently check YouTube, or you check Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I will try to put podcasts will be back on such and such date once I have that finalized and everything. So again, this is the last episode 19. And what better way to close the season than just reflecting on 2022 and looking to 2023. Which is just so crazy that it's we're in the 2020s now. I always think about that and I'm just what happened? I feel just time, because the pandemic in 2020 has just left us, and it's wait a minute, the pandemic is about to be 3 years ago, or at least the start of the pandemic. What? I feel I just got that notification that everything was shut down. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole that I'm not going down today. But anyway, I have been really reflecting on 2022. And, I try to do that at the end of every year. At the end of every year, I kind of like to look back, and I try to, look back on some of the things I experienced. And, I love starting a new year off fresh. I will say though that I'm not one of those people that's the whole new year, new me, which no hate, that's you, do you, do you boo. But, I just find it so cringe. I feel everyone does, though a lot of people make fun of it and there's memes and stuff. I'm a firm believer that you don't need a new year to be a new person, but I do believe that there's nothing wrong with like setting goals for a new year, because it's like it's an aspect of time, and it's just like how every day is a new day. And it's like, if today wasn't good, you have a new aspect of time, which is the new day tomorrow, to try again and to be better and to have hope and different things like that. So that's kind of how I view the new year. I don't think you need it. I think if you need to change, you can do it tomorrow. So I'm not saying like, hey, I'm waiting until 2023 to like accomplish my goals, but I'm just thinking about different things that in the span of a year that I would like to accomplish and that I'd like to go after. But like I said, because I don't, I'm not the whole new year, new me type of person. I don't obsess over the goals, and I don't drive myself crazy with them. I like to set realistic goals. Because in life, I think that, things can always be changing and things are always going on. So I set realistic goals, and that's why I will look at like, okay, in the span of a year or in the span of this many months, this is what I'd like to accomplish. And it's usually things that take time. So that's why I set those, yearly or annual goals, or, whatever you want to call it. And, like I said, it's great to set those goals and, for the new year. But like I said, I set realistic goals, and I strongly encourage you to do the same. You have to be realistic with yourself, and you have to, be real with yourself. Like if you're like, hey, I'm going to start a 7-figure business by March 2021, and 2021, Jesus, God help me. By March 2023, here we go. At the end of the day, it's like, if you haven't started, then that's not realistic. But if you're saying, hey, I want to start a business that could reach 7 figures, I want to start that business by February 2023. Okay, then that's what I think is feasible. But, be realistic with yourself, because I think that sometimes we set these goals and they're just unrealistic. And everyone knows that everyone sets fitness goals at the beginning of the year, and everyone's in the gym on like January 1st and January 2nd and stuff. And I think that that's great if that's something you want to go after. But I think that being realistic with yourself, that is something I've learned this year, is that I have to be realistic with myself, because if I'm not realistic, I'm not going to actually accomplish the goals. I have to be real. What can I actually do? What is actually feasible for me? So I just wanted to, throw that in there. But as I mentioned, I've been reflecting, and, it's been such an interesting year. And I can't believe it's actually over with. Like, I feel like yesterday was like June. But that also feels like forever ago, and I would like to, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to share some of my like most memorable, I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to share some of my most memorable moments in 2022. So 2022, get a load of this, actually started off with, and I'm talking about like January 1st, 2022, started off with me and my husband and our 3-month-old baby boy at the time. We were in urgent care because my husband got COVID. And well, here's what happened. And this is when Omicron was going around, and everybody, like, I feel like everyone in America literally had COVID at that time. Like, if you look it up, like, the numbers were correct. Like, literally everyone was sick. Like, Christmas was canceled. Well, Christmas wasn't canceled, but like a lot of people were not able to be with family, and a lot of people were not able to celebrate New Year's and stuff with family because everyone freaking had COVID. So what happened was that my husband started feeling sick, and because everyone literally, I feel like in the country was getting COVID at that time, it was very hard to get a test. Now, my husband, he is an essential worker and he works out in the public. So, he can only do so much to boost his immune system and to stay safe. And, at the time, he was running a fever. Now, we had both had COVID before. We had COVID a year prior in 2021. And he was feeling sick, and he had a fever that like he couldn't shake, but he couldn't get a test. All the at-home tests, obviously they're more available now, but at the time, at the beginning of 2022, they were not at an end of 2021. They were not as available. And if you wanted a test, it could take days to get a result. So he was also trying to find a place to get tested because like there were so many lines and like you just couldn't get in to get a test. He ended up finding a place after days. Like, so at this point he's already like 4 days in. Obviously he wasn't getting close to our son, and we were doing everything that we could to be safe and everything, but our son ended up running a fever. And just as a precaution, we went to urgent care and it was on New Year's Day. And because it was on the weekend and holiday, we weren't able to just go in and see his pediatrician. So he was running a fever, but had no other symptoms, was acting fine, drinking his milk and stuff like that. And pretty much what ended up happening is that they just said, keep giving him fluids and give him children's Tylenol and stuff, and just to keep the fever down. And that's pretty much all you can do. If he ended up having, more extreme symptoms, then bring him back in, but he never did. And then my husband was finally able to get into a test, and then it was confirmed that it was COVID. And then a few days later, like, it was weird. The whole time I was convinced that like I didn't contract it because I would never had any symptoms, or I was just asymptomatic. But pretty much what ended up happening was I ended up getting sick too. Like a week later, I had like a day where I had a fever and then it was just gone. Like it was the weirdest thing. But that is how I brought in 2022. Crazy, I know. But I feel like the rest of the beginning of 2022, like January, February, March and stuff, I don't know. I feel like it just like meshes in like this bubble of time. Like I can't distinguish, like, outside of that moment. I feel like I can't distinguish like certain things from certain months. And I think maybe it's just because I think at the time, like, there wasn't really anything crazy going on in our lives at the time. Like we were just kind of like raising, our son and just living life. So I don't know. But I think also at the time, like, I was running really low on sleep, which is life of a parent. Okay. And like my brain, like, I look back and I just think those beginning months of 2022, like, my brain just meshes everything together. And it's low key sad, but life of a parent, like I mentioned. Later in the springtime, our son was about like 6 months old and he started crawling. So that was like super exciting. And like full blown crawling at 6 months, not even attempting, but like 6 months, he was like gone, on the move. You couldn't catch up to him, right? Crawling. And it was crazy because we're like 6 months. Oh, and then also, he also got two bottom teeth. Those actually started coming in at 5 months, and then they were in by 6 months. And we're like, okay, what is going on? You got two bottom teeth and you're crawling. What is happening? And then he literally started sitting up, like, all in the span of like less than 2 weeks. And we were like, what is going on? Like, he just went like from 0 to 100. And I'm not even like trying to brag about like his development. Like, we were just shocked. We're like, what is going on with this little boy, right? So it was just a highlight for us just to watch him, advance like that. And like, we just didn't expect it. We didn't expect the teeth to come in and the sitting up and just all that to happen in such a short amount of time. And then the next month, when he was 7 months, he started pulling up on things and standing up. I will never forget it. It's funny because my husband actually has a picture of when he first did it, because we were watching him and we were like, are you trying to stand up on the couch? And it's funny because like he's standing up on the couch and I'm sitting there like covering my mouth, like, and my eyes are wide, like, oh my God, because I couldn't believe that he was doing it. And it was just the cutest thing ever. And I'm so happy that we have that memory. I feel like all these memorable moments I'm going to mention are just like me talking about like my son's development, life of a parent. Okay. But, later summer rolled around and we finally took a trip back to Chicago. If this is your first time listening, we currently live in Georgia now, but we are actually both from Chicago, born and raised, and we lived in the Chicago, Northwest Indiana, area, the region. But, we finally took a trip back. We hadn't been there. We pretty much moved down here in Georgia in March of 2021, and we went back to Chicago in July 2021 for our baby shower. And that was the last time that we had been there, in July 2021. So it had been almost a year. And our little one was 8 months. And I mentioned on this podcast or before that we pretty much took him back to we wanted to visit family, but we also took him back to our home church there, to have him dedicated to the Lord. And it was super nice to visit home and to visit our home church because, like I said, we hadn't been there that last summer, and it was just so weird and bizarre, like being back. Because when we had first went there, we had only lived in Georgia for a few months, so it was just kind of like, we were still like adapting to Georgia, but then going back a year later after already living in Georgia for a year, like it's weird that it didn't feel like home anymore. It's just crazy, even though like we're from there and that's like literally where we lived for like several decades of our lives, obviously. But after that, like shortly after we came home, our son started taking steps at like 9 months, and then he started walking at like 10 months, and now he's running all over the place. And I'm trying to keep up with him all the time. But I will say, watching him grow in the last year has been one of the most awesome, crazy, and like rewarding things to experience. Like, it's just insane. Like, it's so beautiful and so amazing. I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for his health and for his development. And I'm just so thankful for it. It's just crazy being a parent sometimes, just watching like your child grow. Like, I remember when I gave birth to you, and now you're like coming up to me like doing sign language for a snack. we teach him sign language because he's only a little over a year and he can't full blown talk. So it's just crazy how you go from this to that. But he turned 1 in September, and we had a Star Wars themed first birthday party. And I really didn't mean to, but we kind of went a little bit too like all out than I had like originally anticipated and originally planned. But we figured like, hey, he's only going to turn 1 once. It's his first birthday party, and you only get one first birthday party. And I know he won't remember it, but it was just nice to kind of do what we did. Pretty much almost all of our family from back in, Chicago, Northwest Indiana came to visit for his birthday. And what we did was we rented a room at like our local community center, and like we made food and got food like pizza. Like I made some sandwiches, and we had salad and stuff, and like lemonade and cake. We had like a Grogu cake, and the theme was like the child from the Mandalorian, because we love Star Wars in this family. So it was just awesome. It was. But it was just so awesome, and we did that, and it was only a couple hours, and we took pictures and we got balloons, and it was crazy, but it was just one of those things where like we're definitely not going to do that for every birthday. But it was like, it's his first birthday party, like this is a milestone, like it's okay to go all out. But again, it wasn't too crazy. Like it was just family, and it was like I said, in a room at a community center, and it wasn't too crazy, but it was super memorable. And I don't think I definitely am not gonna do that every time, but definitely he will have fun birthdays, as he gets older. But we'll try to do different things that he can experience. That's not always about throwing a party, because oh my god, I was stressed out. But anyway, a couple weeks after that, another highlight is we took our first real vacation as a family, and we went to Panama City Beach, Florida, which if you haven't been, I feel like it's so underrated. Like everyone talks about like going to Orlando and Miami, and I've never like been to Miami. I've been to like Hollywood Beach, which is right next to Miami. I was only there for a couple days, and I've been to Orlando. I used to go to Orlando like literally every year with my family. We went to Disney World and Universal Studios, and we stayed in Orlando. And I feel like Panama City Beach is just so underrated. It's on the Gulf of Mexico, and it is like, it's just so beautiful there. Like the beach, and it's just the ocean and the pier and the activities and everything. Like it was so relaxing. And truth be told, we were actually supposed to go to Orlando. My family has a timeshare there, so we were gonna go. Our vacation actually got planned at the last minute because we were pretty much able to, like, my husband was able to kind of get off work at like the very last second. So it was like we were planning this like within like 2 weeks, but we knew we were gonna drive wherever we were going, so we weren't worried about plane tickets or anything like that. And we kind of got deterred from going to Orlando because of Hurricane Ian. If you remember Hurricane Ian, and if you're not in America, there was a big hurricane that came through and it was hitting Florida, and it was pretty much obliterating a lot of parts of Florida. And I really hope that everyone that got hit is doing well and is getting the help that they need and stuff. Like people's houses are wrecked, things are flooded. Like it was a big hurricane that came through, and it was supposed to go right through Central Florida. It wasn't going to hit the Gulf where Panama City Beach is, though, which is on the west side of like the northwest side of Florida. And that they weren't getting hit like at all, but it was supposed to go right through Central Florida. And like it was just like we were literally just waiting in real time, and we had our like trip booked and everything, and we're like, one, we're not going to drive down there in a hurricane, but two, we're not going to take our son down there in that mess. So what we decided to spontaneously do is we said, okay, we're literally leaving in like 4 days. Like that's how close it was. Like we were cutting it really close. Or like we were supposed to leave in like 5 days or so. And we were really trying to figure it out because every day was different, and it's a hurricane. Like they can only predict so much. So what ended up happening was, we decided, okay, we just need to look for somewhere else, because if it gets bad, we don't want to go down there. Like the whole state of Florida was pretty much under hurricane watch and hurricane emergency. And I'm probably butchering that term, but that's what was going on. So I ended up saying like, okay, where can we drive to? And let me find us a place to stay. So I started looking on Airbnb. And I was like, let me look in Panama City. Like we both had never been. And I'm like, that could be fun. Like we both had never been there. I said, let's check it out. So I went on Airbnb and I found the cutest little Airbnb that was walking distance from the beach. It was an amazing deal. It wasn't super big. It was like a 1 bed, 1 bath with a kitchen and, a little living room. And it was perfect. And I remember my husband was like, book it before you lose it. And I was like, oh my God. So, we booked it, and I was like, I guess we're going to Panama City. And let me tell you, the vacation was absolutely amazing. Panama City Beach is gorgeous. It was beautiful every day. And it was the perfect weather because it was like the first week of October. So it was like 70s and 80s. It wasn't too hot. It was amazing. And it was just so amazing to go on the vacation as a family. Like I said, we hadn't been, and me and my husband really hadn't had a vacation since like the end of 2020. And, life had just been so crazy since then. So it was just so amazing. We had so much fun. It was so beautiful. If you ever thought about going to Panama City Beach, please go. It is gorgeous. It is amazing. You will not regret it. Like it was paradise. It was literally paradise. And I'm just so thankful for that trip. I'm just so thankful that we also could just go on a trip anyway, just because of the hurricane and stuff, because we almost didn't know where to go, because we're like, where could we go on such short notice? So I'm just super, super, super thankful. And it was just so cute seeing our little baby boy, like walking on the beach for the first time and putting his little feet in the ocean. And the ocean was so warm. Like, it was just such a memorable time for us. The rest of the year, we pretty much had some small life changes that I'm just not going to get into just for privacy reasons. Nothing bad. It was good things, but we've just been kind of, adapting to that and, just kind of carrying on with life. But, like I said earlier, 2022, like it flew by just a lot faster than I thought it would. And if there's anything I learned from 2022, it's that, and I'm going to just start talking about some of the things that I have learned in 2022. But the first one I kind of want to talk about is just, I really want to be present more. And, not that I wasn't, but I feel like I can be even like more present than I am now. If that makes any sense. I feel like life gets so busy, and, sometimes we get stuck in the mundane, or there's just so much going on. There's this and that, lack of sleep, lack of anything, and also just distractions too. That it can just be really hard to be present. And I feel like that happened to me a bit at the beginning of the year. Like I said, just time, just when I look back, I feel like just meshed, meshed into one big time bubble. I was adapting to being a mom. So that's just, it's normal, and it's a roller coaster, but it's an amazing one. And I love roller coasters, so I'm not complaining. But, you know, in 2023, one of my goals is to be more present. I want to be on my phone less. I want to unplug more. I'm not saying that I struggle like in a big way with these things, but I just feel like I could take it to the next level and really do a better job than what I'm doing already. And I really want to live in the now and, of course, well, planning the future, but I just want to enjoy everything that I have in front of me. I feel like society, and hey, would it be a My So-Called Thoughts podcast episode if I wasn't talking about my distaste for society at times? Or, how can we wrap up without talking about that? Anyway, I just feel like in society we just become really desensitized by things, and we become more immune to things that are like not normal. And I feel like I can make like a whole podcast about that. Maybe I'll save the episode for season 2. Like just being on your phone all the time and like needing to check things and like scrolling and needing to look things up and just different things like that. Like we just become desensitized to stuff that's just, and truth be told, it's really not that normal. And, I will say I've gotten a little bit better at, not doing that and just kind of having, you know, you know, obviously I have my little one running around. So I've gotten, a little bit better than that. And, I'm not able to be on my phone or anything because I'm always chasing him around or, taking care of him and stuff. I don't have the time really. But like, in my alone time and such, I just really want to do it less and I want to be more focused on other things that bring me joy and happiness. And I'd rather invest my mind in things that can bring me that joy and happiness instead of getting caught up like scrolling or just getting caught up doing this and that. Now, obviously I'm not perfect and it's not going to be perfect, but it's just a goal that I like to set for myself, less screen time overall. I feel like another thing that 2022 has taught me is patience. And let me tell you, okay, like I've learned this again from just becoming a mom, but also, other things. And I will say I don't really want to unpack those other things today. Maybe I'll save that for the future. But, it's just taught me things that I've gone through have just taught me that it's okay to wait. It's okay to have patience and it's okay to be still. And sometimes we need to be still. I've talked about on other podcasts, about how sometimes we need to be like go, go, go all the time. And, having to have that realization that you may be in a season of your life where it is not time for that and it is not time for the go, go, go. And maybe you just need to be still and wait and be faithful. And you need to remain faithful in the season that you're in. Go listen to my podcast about that, finding your path in the season that you're in. But, just sometimes it's okay to be still. And, in society, again, I talked about this on that podcast that like we get, again, the desensitization. I think I'm saying that word right, but we get so desensitized and we think that we have to be all this and we have to be all that. But sometimes it's just like, what should you be focusing on right now? What can you be perfecting in your life right now? And maybe that's all you need to be focusing on. I would definitely say that those are the two prominent things, like patience and, just learning to be present. And I think that they go hand in hand because, learning to be present and having that patience, I just think that you can have so much more peace. And that's kind of what I'm striving for in 2023. Not that I don't have peace, but like, having that patience that, I will get to that next level when I'm supposed to be. And let me be present and what the level that I'm at right now and the path that I'm at right now. So, that's definitely something that I want to, get better at in 2023. And, with 2023, not too far away, I've been thinking about some other things that I like to like accomplish in 2023 and like some other goals. Like I feel like those are like personal like things that I want to try to do, but like I'm talking about like maybe, some tangible goals and stuff. One thing I would love to do in 23 is I love to begin to have guests on the podcast. I would love to interview people. I would love to hear like people's testimonies and hear like different perspectives and hear, just what other people have to say. And I would love to have some like good discussions. And I'm really looking forward to trying to make that happen in 2023. Like, obviously there's so much that goes into that, which is why I'm really thankful. Like, I just felt like God put it on my heart to take a pause on the podcast, so that I can come back like, better than ever. And, that is one of the things that I want to be striving towards. Cause, having guests on the podcast, like, it's not even just about like having somebody on, it's figuring out the audio. Like, that's something that I need to figure out and how that can happen and stuff. So there's a lot there. And then also just the topics and flowing together and stuff like that. So, and then just getting the guests. So that is one of the goals, that I would like to make happen at some point in 2023. I'm also really looking forward to starting like some other projects that I've been wanting to start for a while now. I've said it, I say it at the beginning of every podcast that, I'm a musician, I sing and I write songs and stuff. And I'm just looking forward to like working more on music and like some music projects in 2023. That's something that I'm like really excited about and really interested in. I have a lot of cool ideas. So that is definitely one of my bigger goals that I would like to accomplish. And, something that is, of course, always a goal, but, more so I'm just like carrying it into 2023 is, deepening my relationship with God. And I've said it a few times on the podcast, and I always say a little prayer at the end of the podcast, but I am a Christian. And if you haven't heard my Overcoming Being Hurt by the Church podcast, go listen. But anyway, if you did listen to that podcast, you would have heard that, working on my relationship with God is something that I've been doing after experiencing just being, hurt by the church and being burnt out. And, it's something that I am, I'm excited about, and, I'm really happy about, and I have a lot of peace about. And I mean, not that you wouldn't have peace like going after God, but you know what I mean? It's just something that I feel, good about. And again, if you're kind of confused about that, if you go listen to that podcast, I know it's long, but it's going to be worth your while. That will make a lot more sense. I'm not going to really dive into that today, but if you go and kind of hear my story, you'll kind of hear why I say that and stuff. Something random that I also want to work on in 2023 is minimalism. Now, first of all, before all the minimalists out there that are true minimalists come for me, please listen to me. Okay, I can definitely tell you I will never actually be a true minimalist. I could just tell you that right now. And it's not that I don't want to be or that I have an issue with being one. I just know my personality, and I just don't think I could ever reach that level. Like, I give it to you guys because I wish I could, but I just think the way that my brain works, I don't think that I ever could actually reach that level. But here's the thing. I've just been like watching different YouTube videos and stuff about minimalism, and I have so much respect for what minimalists do and their way of life. And it has just really been intriguing me for the past couple of years. And I think my issue is that I don't know if I could fully commit. So I don't want to call myself a minimalist, but like I said, I just appreciate what they stand for and the practices. I have just been really longing to like declutter and like simplify like a lot of things in my life. I used to be very attached to, not like attached to material things because they're material things, but like just attached to things that are mine. I could be very possessive. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's my bag, and oh, that's my notebook, and da da da. And I hope that that's not like a form of OCD, but maybe it is. I don't know. Lord help me. But, I really can, I can be that way, and I can really have like a hard time with that. But as of recent, and, I don't know if it's just becoming a mom again, just because I don't have time in my brain to like think about these things like I used to. But like now, now it's like I don't care about certain things. Like I used to have like a hard time like getting rid of stuff. And I wasn't like a hoarder. Like this ain't an episode of hoarders, but I could say that I used to have like a hard time getting rid of things. Like if I was decluttering my closet, like I would be like, no, I can't get rid of that. But I'm sitting here looking at this piece of clothing and I haven't worn it in a year. But now like I've just had this desire to like declutter and like, again, simplify. And it's like, I just want to declutter everything, my home, everything. And I'm like, I have too much crap. I'm like, if I haven't looked at this in 6 months, why do I still have it? And that's why I said I really appreciate a lot of minimalist practices. But it's like, I think about like what's underneath my bathroom cabinet. Like, what is all that stuff? Like, I'm not using that skincare. I'm not using this. I'm not using that. Like, I haven't even looked in this container that's holding stuff in months. Like, why do I still have this? So I just, because I've been having these desires, I guess I just really want to be like, less attached to the material things and just focus on other stuff. Because like I said, like, even just, and I don't mean to keep throwing this out there, but like being a parent, it's like I don't have the mental capacity to be thinking about all this stuff. I want to have less, and especially if I'm using less. I don't know. I just, a change that has happened, recently. And you know like I said a moment ago, I want to declutter my closet, and I want to declutter like my wardrobe. And there's this YouTuber I follow. You should check her out. Her page is called Malama Life, and I can't remember if she like actually classifies herself as a minimalist, because I haven't watched all of her videos. I'm just kind of like now getting into her YouTube channel, but she's talked about having different minimalist tactics and practices in her life, and it just kind of really inspires me. And I'm just like, man, like, why do I need like all this, like hundreds and hundreds of pieces of clothing, and why do I need this and why do I need that? I just want to have more staples. And like, not to go off on a tangent, but I just feel like we as people, especially in like Western civilization, like I mentioned, like I used to get attached to material things, just objects and different things that like really and truly, when you think about it, like don't matter. And I feel like that is definitely something, again, that we struggle with in Western civilization and society. And at the end of the day, if you have a lot of things, like whatever, right? Like, do you, as long as you're not hurting anybody, right? If it makes you happy, go right ahead. But for me personally, it hasn't made me happy having a bunch of crap and a junk that I can't even remember that I have, you know? And I love fashion. Fashion is something I'm like super passionate about. And I just kind of want to have like more staple pieces, more things that like make sense, things that are more comfortable, things that can go with multiple outfits. I already don't have time to be sitting here in my closet thinking about all these different outfits and stuff all the time. So I just think that I really would like to just apply more minimalist practices and tactics in my life in 2023. There's another goal um, that I have that is going to sound like so basic and so stereotypical, but I promise it's not. But I want to get more into fitness, which hold on. For the past few months, I have been consistently working out, and I'm really proud of myself because it was really hard for me to get back into fitness after having a baby. Before I got pregnant, I was really into fitness, and I had a gym membership and all that type of stuff. And it was obviously hard during the pandemic, but I was doing them Chloe Ting workouts at home. I was getting it, and fitness has always been something that I have kept up with, but it was really hard for me to get back into it after having our son. But like I said, as of recent, I've been getting back into it, working out at home, and I've really been happy that I've been able to do that. But when I say I want to get more into fitness, I kind of just want to take it to the next level. Maybe I'll get a gym membership again, or, I've been thinking about taking some spin classes or doing Pilates, or, just different like HIIT training workout classes, or just different things like that. Like, just thinking that I've just been thinking about like wanting to take it to the next level. And, I just want to enhance that. And that's something I'm looking forward to doing in 2023. So, those are just some of like my goals and things that, I'm looking forward to accomplishing in 2023. I wish there was a way I can hear yours. Leave a comment, or leave some of the, I will say, leave a comment of some of the things that you would like to strive towards in 2023. But like I said at the beginning, I'm not going to stress myself out about some of these things. These are goals that I like to accomplish in the new year, and I'm telling myself, like, I don't need to do them right away. Yes, I want to strive for them and be consistent, but if it takes me time, like, that's okay. I don't want to obsess over it and like restrict myself, um, you know, because if any, I just think that sometimes, again, life always changes and goals change. So it's great to have those goals, but you don't have to like pressure yourself and, be hard on yourself about accomplishing them. You can embrace them and do them gradually or do it whatever speed that, you see fit. And, I just don't want to obsess over needing to change just because it's a new year. Because that was something like I used to always struggle with. It's a new year. Everyone has like these resolutions and things. But like I would always tell myself, like, I told myself I would change last year and I didn't. And I da da da. And I would just put myself down. But again, like I said in the beginning, like every day is a new day and a new opportunity. And I just want to see a new year as like, it's just kind of like a fresh new day and a new opportunity. But it's not like this thing where, like, again, if you don't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish that year, that you're suddenly a bad person or there's something wrong with you. I think that it's great to set those goals, and I pray that I can accomplish all of them, and I pray that you can accomplish your goals. But again, they're realistic goals for me, so I don't think I'll have a hard time accomplishing them. But I'm not going to beat myself up if something happens or plans change, because that's life, right? So, with that being said, obviously today's episode, I feel like is a lot shorter than normal, and it's just because I'm just kind of wrapping up here. But I just kind of wanted to really quickly just reflect on 2022 and talk about some of the things that I'm looking forward to in 2023. I will say this though, and I said it a million times at the beginning, but I'm going to say it again, and I don't care if you're sick of it. I'm going to say it. Just thank you. Thank you for following along with my life journey and the random things I think about and the random things that bother me and the random things I enjoy, and just listening. Like I said already in the beginning, I just can't express how grateful I am that you actually cared what, little old me has to say. Like I said again in the beginning, I've been wanting to start a podcast for so long, and I didn't believe in myself. But then I decided to take a chance and just do it. And I'm so happy and thankful that I did. And that's kind of what I want to leave you with today as we wrap up 2022. As 2023 is only a few days away, I want to challenge you to think about the things in your life that you may want to do, that you maybe didn't believe in yourself for, or, you didn't think you could do it or whatever. Maybe you set some goals the previous year and you didn't accomplish them, but maybe it wasn't that plans changed and you thought of something different, but maybe it was just you didn't believe in yourself, and that's why you didn't accomplish those goals. And I just want to encourage you today that whatever goals you set in 2023, believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. Yeah, plans change and maybe goals can change, and that's okay too, but believe in yourself. Even if no one around you is believing in you and no one around you is giving you the strength or giving you the wisdom or giving you whatever you need, believe in yourself. And of course, for all my believers out there, trust in God and know that He will give you the strength to continue and to see those goals through and to see things through, especially the plans that He has for you. I think that we should all be thankful for 2022 as much as we can. I don't know what you may have gone through in 2022 or what you may have experienced. Maybe you experienced loss, maybe you experienced hurt and pain, and my heart goes out to you and I pray for you and I pray that 2023 is better for you. But I think that we can be thankful for the small things. Whatever small thing that you could be thankful for that may have happened in 2022. Maybe it was just someone paid for your Starbucks, or you made a new friend. Even if it's just something that you would normally see as minuscule, be thankful. And let's just press on, towards 2023. I will also mention this. This is kind of random, but I just kind of want to also add this in here as we wrap up. But one of my favorite YouTube couples, Jess and Gabriel Conti, you may or may not have heard of them. Gabe came out with a book at the end of was it October? I can't remember, but he came out with a book this past fall, and I'm still reading it, but it's great so far. Life of a Parent, but a word that has stuck with him his entire life, and a word that I'm definitely taking into 2023 is intentionality. And, like I said, I think I want that to be my word for 2023. And if it feels right for you, I encourage the same. Let's all be intentional in 2023. Let's be intentional in everything that we do. Let's be intentional in our goals and our relationships and our life and our jobs, everything that we have going on. Let's be intentional in everything that we do. And I guarantee you, whatever you're trying to see through or whatever goals you have, you can see them through. And the best way for you, if you're intentional, and I'm telling this to myself, I want to be intentional in 2023. And I think that will help me to accomplish the goals that I have and to have a good year. Intentionality. Let's do it. But again, thank you so much for following along with this podcast. I'm just, again, so grateful, so thankful for everyone that has listened, for everyone that has tuned in. You mean so much to me. It means more than you know. I started this podcast in August, and we've been going strong ever since. So thank you so much again. I hope that you had a great year. And again, if you didn't, my heart goes out to you, and I'm praying that things will get better and turn around for you. I pray that if you need healing from this year, or just you need healing in general, that you will find it in 2023, and not just in 2023, but you'll find it in general. And I just pray that we can all be intentional and have the strength to carry on in the next year in Jesus' name. But thank you so much again. Thank you. Be sure to follow the Instagram page at My So-Called Thoughts Pod for updates on season 2. I will definitely be posting updates there, so keep a lookout. Season 2 will be coming this spring, and I'm super excited for it. Podcast is going to continue to be available on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. Please leave a like, comment, review on your platform of choice. And once again, thank you. I hope you have an amazing 2023, and I hope, despite any circumstances, you could be thankful for whatever good things or anything of that nature that you may have experienced in 2022. And as always, this is Sunray, and I'm out. Hope you have an amazing new year. Peace.